have this vivid kind of memories of the phrases my grandfather would leave with us, for example. And you go and you have a game and you play out of your socks, right?
Yeah.
And when you're young, you have this, when you've played well. But what do young people do when they play well? Stomach in, chest out for the rest of the day, right? You walk around like, you God's gift to the sport. And I remember we'd come home after these experiences, and guess what? My grandfather knew when we were walking around, stomach in, chest out.
Done
He knew,
well,
right?
Yeah.
And he'd say to us, just remember, there's always somebody better than you. The no's that hurt me personally the most were the no's from the people who even refused to have us present. Well, I said, you're not even prepared to hear us out and you're already saying no. So I call it, I've got this baggage from that. So I feel bad. So I almost feel that we need to have a level of courtesy.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Off the Clock.
How do you deal with stress? How do you handle that?
Coping mechanism that I have is I go for a run.
Manage stress by obviously being moments like this. Directly saying I'm going off the clock.
Just even a night out.
I'm listening to my favorite music. I go into one of the studios at the gym and I dance.
Sip cocktails and rest and just do nothing.
I ground myself spiritually.
The right amount of stress is good.
Welcome back to Off the Clock, guys. Don't forget to like the video, comment down below, subs to the channel, do all the YouTube maintenance things to support us as Off the Clock. And today we have Cheslyn Jacobs. We have the CEO of GoTyme Bank. I was properly corrected by him. It's GoTyme Bank now. Cheslyn, how are you? Thank you for joining us today on this lovely Friday. We hope you're ready to be off the clock with us. Off the clock.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, and looking forward to the chat. It's always good on a Friday, but we live blessed lives, so it's good every day. Yeah.
That's great. So here on Off the Clock, we love for our guests to introduce themselves, because who knows you better than yourself, right?
Yeah.
You can, if you want the flashing lights, the sounds, the confetti, the smoke and everything, you can do that. So the floor is yours. Please tell us who you are.
Thanks for that. Yeah, like you said, Cheslyn Jacobs. I like to introduce myself as a father first. I'm dad to an 11-year-old boy and a 9-year-old girl, and by a country mile, I think it's my most important job. And then on the side, I happen to be the CEO of GoTyme Bank, as well, a business I've been involved at or in from the very start. Super active, like I do lots of crazy things, I like to believe. And
what do you mean by crazy things?
I'm in the last throes of running my very first Comrades Marathon next month.
All right.
So I've done all the hard yards in prepping for that. I've done a few Ironman triathlons. I've climbed Kilimanjaro.
So you're like a very active man.
Very active man, but more importantly, I think the stories you get to tell your kids and the life you get to role model. And so, like I said, I'm a father first. I'm very present. I'm involved in a lot of what they do, whilst trying to do all these other crazy things at the same time. But it shows them that you can be a present dad, you can be fit, you can do what you love, you can be successful in your professional life and not necessarily have to compromise on any of them. My first love would always be soccer, so I'm a big soccer fan.
Bafana.
I'm a massive Bafana fan. I'm a very patriotic South African, Peter. So our country is really important to me.
We'll be screaming Bafana.
Yeah, and supporting Bafana is really important to me. But having grown up on the Cape Flats in Cape Town, you do develop some good reflexes by dodging bullets every now and then. So you learn a couple of tough lessons in call it survival of the fittest. So it teaches you some really good lessons, kind of growing up with that circumstance, like most South Africans have to, and hopefully that changes a lot faster than it has been changing.
Let me just follow up on that, because I've been to Michelle Plains. And Michelle's Plains and Cape Flats, many townships in the Cape. How do you rival that to Soweto? Have you been to Soweto?
I love Soweto. So So I think they've got very different energy. So my youngest brother, lives in Mitchell's Plain today. My mom lives in a coloured township called Bishop Lavis in Cape Town today. And I think just the dynamics in those areas versus Soweto is very, very different. The energy is very, very different, 100%. You know, so I actually feel the time I've spent in Soweto, I actually feel it's a lot more communal. You know, like people tend to most probably bind together a lot better in a place like Soweto versus a coloured township like Mitchell's Plain or Bishop Lavis for that matter.
Yeah.
And I suppose that kind of energy is different. Again, I suppose growing up on the Cape Flats, it's very hard for me to have a lens of danger. And I'm sensing that some of your question there, Peter, like I don't go into a place thinking or feeling suddenly this is not safe. You know? And I suppose my reference point is very different. But I can't say that's my first emotion. Like this is not safe.
You're a warrior. You're grounded. Let's take 2 steps backwards. I think we're going too fast. You started by saying you're a father first. You got 2 children, 11-year-old son and 9-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
How did you meet your wife?
So Janine and I have been together since matric. So that's 2002. Okay. So we were at school together. So we were in the same class 2 years before that. So we were in the same class from the year 2000 and started dating in 2002. And I always say, you know, the cliche, it's you're better off. Like I can categorically say that is true. You know, it's again with that circumstance and Janine's mom, so my late mother-in-law, was a teacher, and often
same school.
No, she taught at a primary school down the road from where we went to high school. But I think it's very common when kids grow up in a teacher's house. You know, there's that discipline, there's all of these things. I've grown up with my grandparents. There was a ton of discipline too. My grandfather and grandmother and late grandmother were very strict on discipline, but I think teachers are very, very different. And I remember being at university, Janine and I were at the same university as well at UWC.
But I think you're very high level in the way that you guys have met, because here at Off the Clock, I think we...
you want more detail?
More details
but we were, like I said, we were in the same class, so we knew each other. And the thing about love is you don't control these things, right?
It's uncontrollable.
Right? These things happen and suddenly you grow closer together.
But I mean, that moment that you realize you're in.
Yeah, it's hard to point a single moment. Maybe it started as early as 2000 and it took me 2.5 years to pluck up the courage, right? And I was so fixated on playing soccer when I was that age that I didn't pay much attention to anything else. But I think for me it was in matric and we spent a lot more time together at school. Those in specifically in that year 2002. And what I often say is that we spend so much of our time focusing on what we think it is we want.
But I mean, you took her to matric dance?
No, I didn't. I was too late. You know, so
what do you mean you were too late?
So we started dating. We started dating after
the dance.
Well, actually, no, we started dating before the dance.
Yeah.
But we started dating after she had secured a matric ball partner already. So it was a bit of a bummer for me, Peter. Thanks for bringing that up. It was, and it's something Janine and I still joke about today. It's actually something we joke about with our kids today. And I always tease her and tell my kids that your mom took somebody else to a matric dance, you know. And they're, why would you do that, mom? So yeah, and we've been married for 15 years. We'll be 16 years this year. So we got married in 2010. But like I was saying, why I say she's my better half is...
So you got married and waited 4 years before kids?
Yeah, 4 years. So I was 29.
What were you waiting for?
So no, we always wanted to be young parents. So Joshua was born when I was 29. Kyra was born when I was 32. We always wanted to be young parents. And it's crazy if I look at my kids' class today, we're the youngest parents amongst their friends at class. So I think we got that right. But what we were waiting for, like we were young when we got married, 25 and 26. And our very first trip out of South Africa was our honeymoon. We drove to Mozambique. We drove to the Cozy Bay border. I'll never forget.
What car?
In a Toyota Runex.
Okay, that's good.
We drove to Cozy Bay border, and we spent about, I think, a week in Mozambique, and it completely changed our view on the world. We had never left South Africa before, and we committed on that honeymoon trip that we need to try and travel at least once a year.
Okay, out of the country.
Out of the country. And then I'll never forget, we started saving together. That we got married in December 2010. January 2011 was when we started saving together with the sole objective of traveling internationally once a year. And that's what we did until Joshua was born, Peter. We traveled a bit. Yeah.
Like a party pooper.
Yeah.
Joshua.
No, not at all. And you'll see I go all over the place. So you're gonna have to rein me in here yourself. And what that travel kind of experience had done for us, we had set ourselves this travel goal as a family, and we had said we want to be to more countries than our age.
Oh, okay.
Right. So that's our little family travel goal. And when the kids were born, we said we're gonna do the same for them.
Oh, okay.
So we've never actually been on an international holiday since they've been around without them.
Okay.
Yet, I want to say yet because I think when they get bigger, we might want to do that.
You're gonna leave them behind.
Yeah, we're gonna leave them behind. So Janine and I are playing proper catch up at 40 years old. When you only start at 25, to get to more countries than your age is hard work, you know.
Yeah,
especially if you're going by once a year.
Exactly. So we've got our plans.
Have to live until 100.
The kids today, they live very different lives to what we lived, and Joshua is, I think, one country ahead of his age, and Kyra is on her age.
I want to say two things.
Yeah.
You mentioned that first and foremost, you're a father. That's your first job.
Yeah.
What about being a husband?
So and when Janine listens to this, she's gonna say, "I always tell you that anyway." It's crazy. Like I'm a big believer in sowing seeds for what we want the future to look like. Mm-hmm. You know, and I often when Janine says, "But what about me?" I say, I hope you worry about them more than you worry about me as my wife anyway. So I expect the same from her, to be quite honest. And it's interesting if you look at the lens I look at it through is that South Africa comes from a very specific history. My history is very different, call it, to the broader South African history, but the South African history is the history of my parents and my grandparents. You know, I was 9 years old when we became a democratic country, and I can't tell you that, I knew what it was like living 9 years in an undemocratic country. I have no idea. For me, I had a normal childhood. I was playing with my friends. I didn't know I can't go to certain places, whatever the case may be. I didn't realize when I was 9 years old, I was growing up in a house that my grandparents got moved to as a result of Group Areas Act, etc., right? And having learned all of these things later on and then having kids, my obsession has become, how do I help create an environment that changes the game for them, that levels the playing field for them and their generation? Mm-hmm. So at the simplest answer for me is, if you've got 10 Rand to invest, where do you invest it? At your same level, at the level before you, or the level after you?
The future.
It's simple. It's a simple answer for me. You invest as much as you possibly can in the future. And the future happens to be our kids and their peers. Right? So when I say I'm a father first, it is that simple. And I've got to do work today and every day that completely changes the future for them. Yeah.
Okay, that's a good answer. Second question was, which football club do you support? Since I know that's going to be
locally, internationally, So in the Premier League, I support Man United.
You're a United guy.
Yeah, and I say support. I used to be a hardcore fan.
What happened?
It's fascinating. As part of this travel objectives, we went to the UK in 2011.
Old Trafford.
My sister-in-law lives there. So Janine's older sister lives there. And we thought, we're doing this now. We might as well go there. you know, on a budget, you don't pay for accommodation when you've got family at least, right? So we go to the UK in 2011, and part of that trip we go to Old Trafford. You know, I go and watch Manchester United versus Blackburn Rovers, and I'll never forget. And that time Wayne Rooney was the superstar at Man United, and coincidentally, he was having issues with Sir Alex Ferguson. At the time, they were beefing, right? And Man United loses this game at Old Trafford 3-2. You'll remember having traveled the continent really well, Peter. I'm hoping you know Tony Yakubu.
Yes.
He was the Ghanaian striker for Blackburn. He scores a hat-trick that day against Man United at Old Trafford. And I'm in the crowd, relatively far and close to the field. I've got my Man United kit on, but I've got a South African flag and a South African scarf in the crowd as well. And the game ends and the players just disappear off the field immediately. And maybe I have an unreasonable expectation of saying hopefully they were going to engage with us before.
After losing.
Well, maybe that's some unreasonable expectation, but I remember feeling like, gee, I've gone through all of this effort to be here. And this thing ends just like that.
Yeah.
You know, it was very anticlimactic for me. But also what that experience taught me is that day, Blackburn Rovers had a ton of fans in the stadium. And when you watch these games, the so-called smallest teams in these leagues fill their stadiums. It's because their communities support them. Right? What happens in South Africa? Rural KZN, they're supporting Kaizer Chiefs or Orlando Pirates. Rural Limpopo is supporting Sundowns. But I'm saying, but what about Black Leopards or Polokwane City? Or what about Golden Arrows and Amazulu? And I thought, but then I came home and I've never ever bought a Man United t-shirt after that, ever again.
How many do you have?
Well, I almost had one every season before that. So I only got one that I still wear or fit. I don't even think I haven't worn it in a long time. But I haven't bought one since 2011.
Is that how you feel about the team now?
No, I still support them. But
I mean, wearing the jersey, it also has to do with
investing.
how you...
But it's about investing in them because it's a commercial thing for them.
Yeah, but
so
I mean,
when I came home, being from Cape Town, I was like, I've got to support my home teams.
Yeah.
And back then it was Ajax Cape Town.
Yeah, I remember.
Ajax Cape Town was the team in the PSL from Cape Town that were doing good things. And Athlone Stadium wasn't too far from where I grew up.
Yeah.
And I'd go to the Athlone Stadium when I was in Cape Town every second week to watch Ajax Cape Town play. And I bought Ajax Cape Town t-shirts and I bought Bafana t-shirts after that visit. And what I always now hope to do is that when we speak about soccer as South Africans, I really try and encourage people to actually support their own teams. Because the quality of the game will improve exponentially if corporate South Africa could get behind it. But why would corporate South Africa get behind Polokwane City when they only fill the stadium twice a season? When Chiefs and Pirates come to play. But if Polokwane supported Polokwane City, they'd fill the stadium every second week. Why wouldn't a corporate get behind that institution? And the same for Chippa United in the Eastern Cape, or the same for Amazulu in KZN. They've got a sponsor at least, or for Golden Arrows. Richards Bay's got a sponsor now. But I'm saying it's relatively small comparing the sponsors, Chiefs, Pirates, and Sundowns have today, being the so-called big teams.
Yeah.
But I think that comes from the way the community support these teams.
But also, I mean, good point, Cheslyn. If you take it to rugby, it's another level in terms of the sponsorship and the support, because the buying power is bigger and people buy season tickets.
Yes.
Because, you know, the support group is quite rich.
But you will struggle to find a Bulls fan in Cape Town.
Yes. I mean, it's true.
Western Province, they're supporting Western Province there.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
So,
You'll struggle to find a Western Province fan in Pretoria because they're supporting the Bulls there.
Yeah. And Joburg and the Cheetahs.
And the Lions, exactly.
Yeah.
They support their teams. And
Local teams,
actually, rugby's done that really well. You're quite right.
Yeah, I mean, I happened to be, YPO, and we had a retreat in Ireland last November.
Mm-hmm.
And we obviously tuned it to be more or less the same time when the Boks were playing Ireland. And because they haven't beaten Ireland forever in Ireland. And we went to the game. I was actually quite shocked about the dynamics at that Dublin stadium where they mixed the fans. Like we're sitting with Irish guys, and I felt like there were more South Africans in the stadium because every time we're like scoring, we're like,
making lots of noise.
and the Irish guys are like, you know, and then when they score, a few of them are like, you know, and of course, I mean, you know, the Boks won the game, and they what actually was the aha moment for me was we stayed in Trinity Hotel, and they were just South Africans. They said 200 rooms were taken by South Africans who were traveling with the team from Italy, France, and they were going to Wales the following week. So they were just traveling with the team. I mean, they take leave or whatever. They just follow the teams. Like, you know, you don't find that a lot in, I guess football doesn't do things like that, like this grouped games tour that they do. And
the administration around the sport must change though. But what I will say is, and I think I said earlier, I'm a extremely patriotic South African. I've managed to watch some sporting events in multiple different countries. Packed stadium in South Africa is the best spectator experience ever. South Africa, I believe we're the friendliest people the world over.
No, we are.
Which game of a magnitude of Kaizer Chiefs and the Pirates around the world can those two sets of fans, in any sport for that matter, around the world, share the same space? Could Boca Juniors and River Plate do that? No. That'd be World War III.
It's also
in
like
Argentina, Buenos Aires.
It's like also thinking, would Barcelona and Real Madrid fans do that?
I think it would just be carnage. And it's because of the type of people I believe we are. I spoke about the communal aspects of Soweto, and I think there's lots of communal aspects about a lot of the places in our country. You can't top, I mean, a Soweto derby, jam-packed stadium, fans all mixed all over the place. You can't top that. A big Springbok game against the All Blacks at a soccer city, for example. We don't mind. The All Black fans can be amongst us. We don't. That experience is second to none.
Now that you're saying it, I mean, it's actually, I mean, I've been to a few stadiums around the country, Springbok, soccer, and it's, I mean, the Blue Bulls in Pretoria,
Loftus,
yeah. That's amazing experience. We can't reproduce that anywhere else 100%. In the world. So, I mean, moving on a little bit, you know, just I think CEO, you're going for what, 6 months?
Yeah, well, it was 1 Jan, so end of May will be 5 months. So
5 months.
Almost 6
so
months,
still kind of a honeymoon phase, celebrity CEO, bank is doing well, digital, hitting the ka-ching, the millions of coming in.
From your lips to God's ears.
So, I mean, how has that 5 months been so far? I mean, you still flying? Or?
So it's interesting, right? So I've been in the business from day one.
Yeah, but now another level.
But I'm saying the business is not new to me.
Yeah.
Right? So that there's definitely been things that's needed to transition.
Yeah.
But I think the nice thing is that I'm not coming into a business or assuming a role where the work we're trying to do suddenly challenges me. Call it intellectually, or I have to get my head around the strategy or try and understand what it is we're trying to do, where we think the opportunities are. There's been none of that, right? The reality of assuming this position is that suddenly you've now got to be everything to everybody, right? So I always say some days I feel like I'm an overpaid HR executive. Then some days I feel like I'm an overpaid compliance executive. And then some days I feel like I'm an overpaid legal executive.
So what
and then when I realize I have to be an overpaid every kind of executive, I suddenly think I'm an underpaid CEO because I've got to do all these things.
So what I'm hearing is that you wearing many hats, you are a magician, you do everything.
You've got to orchestrate, you know, so kind of it has actually caught me off guard. It has been, I had to consume a lot more information about a lot more things I wouldn't have ordinarily had to do in the business before. But we've got the most amazing people at our business. You know, I could not have asked for the team to respond any better than what they have. So I'm super grateful that that's in place.
But I mean, now than before, because, you know, you just said it yourself, as a CEO, the expectations are coming from all around. And if you head of a division or commercial, you kind of sometimes left to do your job, you know, and you do it. Now, as a CEO, you have to be everything to everybody. Do you feel the weight as a new CEO having to because I'm sure the board and everybody said, look, you know, Cheslyn, this guy's to get here. We want you here.
No, spot on.
You know,
my personality would want me to take it there anyway, Peter. I don't need them to tell me that. Like
they tell you anyway.
My personality is like that's where I want to take it in any case. Maybe the first 5-6 weeks I really felt that pressure.
The weight.
I was like, gee whiz, this is. But once we found a rhythm, found a cadence, and obviously as the team was getting used to, I suppose, my expectations, and they felt they needed to come to me with everything. And then suddenly when you say, cool, it's your call to make. And you, again, no, it's your call to make. It's your call to make. And then they're like, okay.
This guy.
Right, so I think the real trick is creating an environment where your key people, specifically your decision makers, feel empowered to make those decisions, and that they know where they can rely on you when they can't make that call, when there's trade-offs to be made that they're struggling to make, and they can then rely on you, right? So I think after kind of 6 weeks, we kind of found that rhythm, found that cadence. So definitely that intense pressure of that has definitely subsided. But now, like you said, now there's other stakeholders. There's the board, there's the regulator, there's your external partners, there's every other business who think they can add value to your business, and they want to come and pitch and show you how they can add value to your business, and you've got to sit and again, my nature is to say yes to everything first before you say no. And I know that sounds weird, and my assistant at the office, she fights with me about this all the time, because she says, you say yes to everything, you can't do all of these things.
About that Christmas.
Right? But what my context is on that though, Peter, is that we obviously have a book out about the business, and the one story we tell in the book is that when we were raising capital to build the business, guess how many pitches we did before the first successful one?
Probably about over 50. I mean, I had a stint where I went on a roadshow to try to raise the money. It's it's like hell. So I mean, maybe you guys
pitch
were
number
better.
217 was the first yes we got.
That's 270.
270.
Yeah.
That meant we had to hear the words no 216 times before we found our first investor. But what I always say...
Who's that guy? Crazy guy.
What I always say though, the 216 no's were very easy to deal with, because it actually helped us refine the next one and refine the next one and refine the next one. The no's that hurt me personally the most were the no's from the people who even refused to have us present. When I said, you're not even prepared to hear us out and you're already saying no. So I call it, I've got this baggage from that. So I feel bad. So I almost feel that we need to have a level of courtesy, because who's to say that I'm not going to be number 217 for the people I choose to engage with?
That's true. So this is
who's to say I'm not going to be number 217 for that person?
Yeah, that's a different way of seeing it.
So this is from a lens of being on the other side of the table, basically.
100%.
So, yeah, I mean, if I ask you a question related to your 6 weeks and then now feeling a little bit more relaxed and comfortable in running the business and making the decisions and bringing in your culture, your values, your flavor in the business, what are the two things, one big thing, one small thing that you kind of changed? Because you say you've been with the business all the time, but you know, Cheslyn is Cheslyn. Yes. I mean, I remember, I'm just giving you the story so that you can figure out the two things out of the 200 things you worked on. When I started running Medtronic down the road, the one small thing was that I changed was I was just quite shocked, but we had 17 or so different meeting rooms. Every meeting room, they all bring fizzy drinks.
Yeah.
And sweets, including chomp. I'm sure you
Yeah,
grew
the
up
chocolate.
that-
Yeah, you know, remember the advert with the hippo?
And it was like, it just haunted me so much. It's like, we healthcare companies and we're giving sweets and chomps and
yeah.
fizzy drinks. And I had to kill that and bring in fruits and water in the right bottle that a person can finish 250 mils.
Yeah.
So that was the small change that I've
Yeah.
seen. So
Small but big, right?
Yeah.
So the two for me must probably kind of call it in the 6-month period. And I call it small, but it's big because and this one's more related to the business, less about me personally. The reality is we are a consumer business, right? The people we serve are ordinary South Africans, like you and I. And for the longest time, we've always, since COVID, we've had a hybrid working environment. And truly hybrid, there was hybrid. When I say hybrid, no minimum standard. So teams could genuinely choose to what extent it's hybrid for them. I call it small. I think the rest of the business will say big, but I put in minimum standards return to office. I said is that if we're not connected to each other, I can't expect us to be connected to our customer.
wow, I mean, that's a digital bank saying people must come back.
And I'm saying, so I put in minimum standards around how often we need to be sharing common space to solve problems, to ideate, to think about new things, but more importantly, just to be connected, right? We've got the saying, you talk about digital bank, we've got the saying in the business, Peter. We say the more digital the world becomes, the more human we need to be. Right?
That's very true.
We're still human, so and that connection's powerful. The big thing was probably more individual kind of change is having been the chief commercial officer for the business before assuming the role as CEO. I was responsible for a large part of our income statement, P&L, hard P&L responsibility. And I was in the detail. I knew numbers inside out, left and right, just like this all the time. But it was my responsibility to know those things and understand how all these levers work in the business all the time. The big change I've had to make was I've needed to take not 1, 2 steps away from the detail because I've got a team of very competent people who now have to manage that level. And that's been hard because for a long period of time, I was stuck in the detail
Technical
all the time,
guy.
you know. So that's been, and some days are harder than others to do that. You kind of want to get
Like,
stuck in and
too
stuck
slow.
in, and you've got to remind yourself and just have that level of self-awareness. Take a step back. You've got an exceptionally competent team who's committed to the business in the same way you are. Allow them the room to kind of overcome some of these challenges. And why I call that a big one is because kind of like psychologically and emotionally, it takes a ton of effort. Because by and large, you're almost asking yourself just to rewire yourself a little bit from what your so-called norm used to be and just to change that a little bit. So that's been a big change for me. I think I've been doing it decently. Always going to be room for improvement there, but that's most probably the big one.
Okay. And sleep, I mean,
Yeah, I love it. Right. So,
how many hours?
So minimum 6, minimum.
Maximum? Max?
Yeah, it's my body struggles to sleep more than 8 hours. Like it's like I'm active, so I run in the morning. I run 4 or 5 mornings a week, either run or ride my bicycle. And when I'm in Joburg, I choose to drop my kids at school every single morning. So if we have to be in the car at 7 a.m. or 7:05, for example, I've got to make sure my runs are done before then. You know, because I've got to run, come back, shower, get done, and so we can get in the car to go to school together. So I'm often awake by 5:15, 5:30 running. So 6 to 8 hours of sleep. But I'm a big believer in balance, massive believer in balance.
Tell me more.
So I sleep really well, and I've been sleeping really well for years and years and years.
I work really well.
And because and I must be careful how I say this because people listening might think I'm taking a dig at them, but I'm not. For me, is that can you function when you're tired? It's hard to function when you're tired, right? So people often ask me what keeps you awake at night, and my instinctive answer is absolutely nothing. I say the same things that you allow you to keep you awake are the things I allow to wake me up in the morning. And it's a very different lens because I'm saying it's often things that you worry about, things that are challenges that when you kind of have that figure of speech of saying what keeps you awake, right? But I'm saying for me to overcome those challenges tomorrow, I better be as fresh as I can. And sleep's an important part of that. So I like to just position it as common sense. I'm like, okay, cool, I know I'm going to have a tough day tomorrow. To be the best at overcoming that day, make sure you are as fresh as you can be. So have a good night's rest. And I put my head down and I sleep really, really well with the intention of refreshing, rejuvenating, and taking on the next day with the same kind of vigor you always can.
So, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, this show is about work-life balance and CEO longevity. We think when we're done, CEOs like you will live until 90 and have a very good lifespan versus health span. So health span is living until 80, and you can still do the things that you like at 80. Lifespan is living until 80 or 90, but by 60 you're struggling, you can't run and cycle the way you do and all that. And to achieve that is through balanced diet, living work at work, and being present at home and other places that you go to. And as somebody who spent all his life in healthcare, I'm a big advocate for that. And through this show, trying to spotlight that.
A simple thing you say, Peter. I mean, I say it was a small thing. Return to office minimum standards. I go to the office every day. I've been going to the office every day as soon as those lockdown levels allowed me to. And you talk about leave work at work, and for me, being able to psychologically separate environments does the world of good. Right? So when I get home, guess who my kids see walk through the door? They see their dad walk through the door. They don't see the CEO of GoTyme Bank, because they know once I come home, I'm at home. I'm not at work anymore.
Some of the moments that I always tell them is I used to enjoy the way my kids will welcome me home like "Daddy" when they see me, and of course they don't say it anymore, and they think I'm slow and boring.
But how important is that moment? Was that moment for you, right? That sensation is magical.
Yeah, I mean that's why I always say leaving work at work and going home and doing that. When they were still small, we used to have a kind of shows and things that we watch on TV together. Wrestling, W SmackDown. And then at the end of the show, it's over. Homework, wash, sleep, done, and all that. So doing certain things together. So the importance of that separation for me, and I think I'm more like that. Hate working at home, and then going upstairs in the kitchen and not separating that. So as I drive to work, then I kind of disengage from home to work, and then as I drive from work to home, I disengage and get into that moment of.
You and I are twins, Pete. That's exactly what I do. So my disengage is as soon as my kids get out of the car when I drop them at school, then I start engaging for work. And I do exactly the same thing in my car home from work. I start switching off. And my wife often says, "You never tell me how your day was." I said, by the time I get home, I can barely remember.
That's gone.
Because I said, I can barely remember. When I switch back on tomorrow, all these things start coming back. And I'll just say, no, it was okay, whatever the case is. And I was just like, now you're forcing me to kind of go back into the days archives to kind of bring some of this out. But I think it's such a healthy practice, because like you say, when you come home, there's that welcome one. But my kids never ask me, "Oh, must you work now?" They're like, "Oh, can we play Uno? Can we do this? Can we take the dog for a walk?" And that's because the experience is when I get there, I can suddenly do all of these things 100%.
Back to the work-related stuff. How, from your perspective, how is AI changing banking? From your perspective,
it's going to change everything, right? So if you think about and then why I say it's going to change everything, you can kind of limit it to banking, but I think the use cases are unanimous across these things. So the interesting debates we're having around the boardroom tables today is that who is your customer of the future? Is it actually a person? Right? Because, for example, when Joshua or Kyra must make their own decision as to who they bank with, who are they asking? Are they asking me, or are they asking an AI agent?
Which is true.
So they're not. So we're like, so who's the actual customer? Is the actual customer Joshua and Kyra, or is the actual customer the agent that they're potentially using? Because if you can convince the agent to tell them, use GoTyme Bank, that's what they're gonna do, potentially, right?
Right.
But I'm saying that's not only the case for banking. If they say, oh, what running shoes must I buy? Or this is the kind of food I want to go and eat tonight. What restaurant must I go to? Right? So the question is like, who in the future, who's the customer actually going to be? Ultimately, how we embrace the tools at work is that I personally, and this is might be a very, call it South African, or maybe because how important job creation is for South Africa, I don't live in a world where I think AI needs to replace human beings. Right? I live in the world of saying, how do we use the tools to make you so much better at what you already do?
Okay.
Right? Because I actually think, to be quite honest, and the AI enthusiasts and purists are going to say, you have no idea what you're talking about, and that's fine. The beauty of the world today, we can all have our opinion.
Agree to disagree.
Exactly. So I work for a consumer business. How do I live in a world where I say, oh, I'm going to use all these tools to potentially marginalize consumers? Where will they then get the money to spend on my business? So you take that crazy guy Northwest there that has these EVs, right?
Yeah.
And all he talks about is robots and self-driving, we don't need humans, Cool, okay, build these fancy self-driving cars. Who's going to buy them, sir? Who's actually going to buy them?
Buy them from each other.
So I'm just like,
the robots will buy from each other.
So I think I feel like it's an easy narrative, and therefore I think it's a lazy narrative to say that's what AI will do, and especially in the short term. And I don't think it's a narrative that works for South Africa specifically, right? But I do think we are already seeing use cases in the business where it can fundamentally make you so much better at your job. And so we've implemented it in that manner, right? So it can build efficiency, build productivity. It can build immense amounts of knowledge bases when you kind of architect this properly. But for me, the most fascinating thing kind of looking forward, for any business for that matter, is the question is, as a result of the rise of AI, who is your actual customer?
The future customer.
Right? Who is your actual customer?
Yeah, I mean, it's actually spotlighting certain areas. I'm kind of a big fan of AI, and I was kind of skeptical in the beginning. Around last year, to be exact, I realized Walala Wasala, like, basically embraced it by evaluating 10, 12 platforms and see which one I'm going to use. And I feel I'm addicted into that, using it to brainstorm, to make better. Because I think for me, I mean, you can challenge me if you like. I think AI becomes very helpful if you already know 60 to 70% of the stuff. So you bring in to cross-check, to help you build, not to replace you. It will never replace you. Just put a bit of a, shot of steroids on you, or vitamins, or, IV on you to be protected against the flu or whatever.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So I mean, I think at work, in the house, I think I'm ahead of them in the way I use it, not the way I fear it, but I kind of embrace it in my way. And I remember when the AirPods came from Apple, I saw them in New Jersey, and I bought them and I brought them home. And I was going around the house, and Siri, play me Drake song, Siri. And they were watching me and say, Dad, what's up? And 6 months later, like, my gift is going to be this, be that. Like, you see,
you should have been there to see it.
No, but
You should have been there to see it.
the one thing I will add, though, Peter, I fully agree that if you know 70% of the stuff, it's a great tool to validate, to enhance, and all of those things. But I've also found it to be a great tool to learn, though. Now, I mean, of course, it hallucinates and stuff like that. But let's say you don't know something about something, and you what I think you should really know is how to probe it, what kind of questions to ask. But you can formulate a thing where it puts this knowledge base together for you. Now, yes, it might not be factual knowledge it's putting in front of you, but I think as these models mature, they become a lot more accurate over time anyway. But they can put things together that you potentially want to learn about, that you potentially want to explore. I think they also do really good jobs at actually aggregating that data and presenting it in a way that you ask for it to be presented to allow you to consume that information. I take my son, for example. He's a typical boy right now, so his mom and him fights quite a bit about how much time he commits to studying, like the old school studying.
Yeah.
But Joshua is an auditory learner.
Okay.
He must be first to sit and listen. So I'm like, okay, cool, champ. Take all your notes, make pictures of it, whatever, upload it into this thing, and ask it to make you a 25-minute podcast about the content. Test that, see if you want to listen to it, see if you enjoy a subject you don't really enjoy, if you're going to learn it that way.
Exactly.
So and that's what I'm saying. It's just about how you choose to use these tools, right? And it's important, I think, at an individual level to know what your strengths are, to know the areas that you want to develop, and use it to enhance your strengths, use it to close the gap in the stuff in the areas you have to develop.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's really like customization, even at a personal level, the way you want to consume it, as you say, audio versus just dry reading, which doesn't help. I mean, I, as a kind of a registered healthcare worker, I can have access to AI platform called AI Evidence for medical work and stuff to check it out. But for you to be able to benefit from that platform, you need to understand disease patterns, drug treatment, procedures, and things, and all that to enjoy it. Yeah. If you don't, you're not gonna know when it's kind of out of line or ahead of peptides, which are banned in some other places, and so AI is very much like that. And then I realized that it's in all industries and all areas. So you need to go with like a cafeteria system. Go to the kitchen and take the greens and maybe have a roast beef and walk away and leave the other fish and sausage.
I think that's a great example. Right? Yeah. Just think about the power of this tool and what it can do to the ability for early diagnosis.
Exactly. I mean, in my field, healthcare, somebody can disagree, but I find that doctors stand in the way of innovation and embracing this, because when I was CEO of Medtronic, the whole digital assistant and connectivity and virtual engagement, where if you wanted to do a brain surgery and you're not really astute with it and sure, you can get a professor in Manchester or London for Arsenal to supervise you through and literally guide you as if they're doing it to get it done. But a lot of guys, out of fear, suspicion, they cut it and they don't embrace it and use it. Yeah. Like today we talk about hospital at home. A lot of time, you don't need to go to the hospital for a lot of ailments. In fact, you'll recover better and live longer if you get treated at home, because the hospital is full of this germs and bugs into there that are like super bugs. Yeah. But also people like going to the hospital and going to get help. Yeah. Stay 2 days and get out. Don't stay too long and get into that. No, 100%. So AI is...
Yeah, it's here to stay. I promise. I always have to embrace it. It will make you so much better.
So out of AI, his favorite topic, any person that you think maybe you should have apologized to in the past and you never got a chance to, like people that you stepped in the K-flats and left and never went back?
You spoke about WWE, SmackDown and things earlier. I think it used to be John Cena. I think he used to have a T-shirt that said "Regret nothing and fear less." One of these wrestlers used to have on the back of his jersey T-shirt that said "Regret nothing, fear less." So, you know, I don't, you know, basically what you're saying is that somebody I want to go and say, oh, sorry for all. You know, I'm big on being very true to yourself always. And a simple thing we teach our kids why not to lie, for example, is that I would say, Josh, Kyra, you know what the power of the truth is? It never changes. Right? You know how much admin it is to lie. Because I say to Mahalatsi this thing about something, and I say to Peter something completely different about the same thing.
I have to remember.
But I have to remember the next time, but what is it that I say to you about it? It's too much admin. Yeah. And I said the truth never changes. So it doesn't matter.
Standardized.
Just keep it simple.
Yeah.
Right? So, and I think I've always, my grandparents who raised us, they always kind of instilled those principles in us as well. So I don't, like, there's nothing. You know, I did some bad things at university, but considering the circumstances, I can tell you right now, hand on heart, if I'm in that situation again and the circumstances are exactly the same,
so you
do exactly the same thing.
You're very, very high level. I mean, what did you do? Did you smoke ganja? What did you do?
Never done drugs, never done alcohol, never smoked at all. My father was
went to church.
Or my late father was a gangster for many of my childhood years. Alcohol abuse, drug abuse, had all the wrong friends.
Experienced that firsthand.
And I just thought that's not what I want for
That's not for you.
The time he died, thank God, he was a pastor by the time he died. So he did a full 360 himself, though. So we were lucky that way.
It's in heaven now.
100%. But we, at least I got to see firsthand what it was I didn't want for my life. And then with sport and activity, I just chose to stay away from it.
Did you see what changed your father?
So
I always say it was my mom, you know. I always say it was her. She was always a believer. And to be quite honest, for many, many years, we encouraged her to leave him, you know. But she must have seen the light long before us, and she persevered. And she always used to say she believes he's going to change. You know, she was clearly right and we weren't. But I think it was most probably her more than anything. And the reality, why I don't think us as the four brothers can take credit for it. We didn't live with them because of the life he lived. We lived with our grandparents.
But I mean, did you see that moment when he flipped?
No, like the actual moment, no. But
when he changed, did you believe him?
A memory I vividly have was his ordination when he became a pastor. That ceremony, I've got a vivid memory of that ceremony. And if you had seen him preach that day, you would know that was legitimate.
How did you feel about that moment?
Yeah, I think I was still young, you know. When I say young, I was a teenager when it all happened. But I think the one of the most powerful sensations for anybody, irrespective of circumstance, is gratitude.
Okay.
And I think we were filled with a sense of gratitude. And I suppose more for the fact that maybe my mother now finally gets what she had always hoped was going to be the case, you know. So I think we were filled with an immense sense of gratitude. When you go back to the stuff at the universities, I'll give you a simple example. You know, we used to sell and resell textbooks to get our university fees paid. There were some textbooks that we sold that should have never been sold.
I get the general understanding.
But you managed to put together a really good sales pitch, and somebody buys them, and and then unwritten, you've got a no returns policy.
So with your dad, like after seeing someone who, like you said, he was into a lot of the wrong things that negatively impacted his life. After seeing him change like that, and I'm not saying like how did it make you feel towards your dad?
Yeah.
I'm like more of saying like how did it make you feel towards, in terms of like things being possible?
Yeah.
Because you said like your dad was this one way, and then you said yourself, full 360.
Yeah.
And he changed. You were there. You saw him. You even saw him preach and all that.
Yeah.
did that instill some type of belief in you in saying that anything can be possible? Actually,
so it's and I don't think only that, right? Just the circumstance you grow up in, you have to, like, if you don't believe anything is possible, you basically resigning yourself to that very circumstance for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
By nature, right? If so my grandparents were monumental in our lives. Our parents were monumental in our lives, even though they didn't necessarily raise us directly. And our grandparents would always instill that level of discipline around why it's important to work hard. And growing, my younger brother plays professional soccer today. And we played soccer every single day. And I have this vivid kind of memories of the phrases my grandfather would leave with us, for example. And you go and you have a game and you play out of your socks, right?
Yeah.
And when you're young, you have this, when you've played well. But what do young people do when they play well? Stomach in, chest out for the rest of the day, right? You walk around like, you God's gift to the sport. And I remember we'd come home after these experiences, and guess what? My grandfather knew when we were walking around, stomach in, chest out.
Done
he
well,
knew, right?
Yeah.
And he'd say to us, just remember, there's always somebody better than you. And he never ever said it because he didn't think we were good. Because his follow-up statement would be, the day you play against this person, are you ready? Suddenly you go from stomach in, chest out to like, maybe we should go practice again, right? So you almost instill this thing of what your actual job is to make sure you're always becoming that little bit better. That little bit better. Because the day you meet this person who's also doing that is the one way you can ensure you'll be ready, is to continue making sure you get better. And does that mean you're going to beat that person that day? No. Doesn't necessarily mean that, but it definitely means you're going to give it everything you've got on the day, right? So I think it's my father changing, I think, was just another manifestation of, I think, how we were raised to believe that all these things are possible, provided you're prepared to do the work. You have to be prepared to do the work. But like I said again, it was gratitude, and I suppose, not necessarily having our father present in our lives growing up. Thank God he got to have a few years with my kids as a granddad. And I could often, and I don't, he wouldn't necessarily say that himself, but I could see him using them as his second chance. Right? I could see him interacting with my kids, and he would never say, but I could see him in his head thinking, I wish I had done this for them. And I remember then proactively having the conversation with him saying, don't have any of this guilt, guy. This guilt will eat you from the inside. Make use of the time you have now. Don't feel that you have to try and raise a 6-year-old Cheslyn. I'm not 6 anymore. Right? Just play the deck of cards you dealt. And I'm saying choose to invest that time and energy with guilt-free into your grandkids, into having adult relationships with your kids today. And I think, I suppose, some of those conversations would have liberated him a bit. But it was amazing to kind of see the relationship he had built with my kids specifically whilst he was alive. Unfortunately, he's got 2 more grandkids that he didn't get to see. But I can only imagine they've done exactly the same.
So maybe you do one question, I do one. We give Cheslyn a moment of revenge. Can ask some questions.
I guess another deep question.
Yeah.
Your relationship with your grandparents.
Yeah.
I mean, you said they raised you, basically.
Yeah.
I think there are a lot of people that probably have a very deep relationship
Yes.
with their grandparents versus their parents for some whatever circumstantial reason. In a way, your grandparents were like your parents.
Yeah.
What do you think your grandparents would have been like as actual grandparents?
Well,
had your parents been like...
Well, actually, it's a great question. And you know why it's a great question? So my grandfather is my sole surviving grandparent. My grandmother passed away actually 25 days before my father. So in COVID 2020.
Sorry, man.
Nah, we play the deck of cards you dealt, right, Peter? And the fascinating thing is, in December, now this December, was my grandfather's 87 years old today. December was the first time he left Cape Town ever.
To come see you?
He came to see us. I've been living in Joburg for the last 18 years. He had never ever been to see the life we've built here.
Damn.
He was terrified of flying. I somehow convinced him to come. Right, so it was a kind of full circle moment for us, and he was obviously like overfilled with pride, because it was the first time he could physically see the life we've now built, of the learnings. But more importantly, to your question, Maglatsi, he's got great grandkids, right?
Yeah.
But like you said, he wasn't a grandparent to us. He had to play the parent role.
Yeah.
And now I get to see him play a grandparent role to my kids. And as you sure know, as a grandparents allow their grandkids to get away with it. And I'm sure that's why you're asking me the question. Anything and everything, right? And at the end of this week, it was Janine, my wife, said, but Cheslyn, was your grandfather like this with you? And that's when it struck me that he was never a grandfather to me. He knew he had to be a father. So he had to play that role, because the things he's allowing my kids to do today in my house, if I were to do those things in his house, there would be big trouble. There would have been big trouble, right? And so it was fascinating to see. But I suppose because of that, even after that realization, I've got an even deeper respect, because not many people would have necessarily chosen to kind of take on that role in those kind of situations. I've got an even deeper respect for them as a result of doing that. And it's something as simple as my kids call my grandfather by his first name. So Joshua and Kyra, they say his name's Ernest, but everybody calls him Ernie. They say Ernie because that is what he's told them to call him.
Easy.
Right? But imagine I had to say Papa. It was never an option for us to say Ernie, ever. Right? And suddenly he's given them this liberty.
I feel you, man.
So it's fascinating. It's fascinating to kind of see how that's manifesting today. But yeah, it's like I said, it's fascinating. I think it fills us with lots of joy, love, when you kind of get to see that you can still get to experience that. And my grandmother was the same. Joshua was 11, so Joshua was 6. Kyra was only 4 when my grandmother passed away, so she didn't have that much time with him. But it's very, very similar phenomenon.
It's basically like they're getting their chance to finally actually be grandparents.
Yeah,
and then you're seeing all of this.
Exactly.
And it's like, this is not.
Exactly.
Oh, no.
So, one more inflection point in your life, in your career, looking back.
So in my life, call it on the personal side, Janine, like I always say, when I say she's the better half, I remember at university.
Childhood suited.
Well, not even. So at university, I was completely messing around in my first year, completely. I only passed my major.
Or messing around, I mean, not
going to class. Because, so the big change from high school to university is at high school, there's a roll call. The teachers actually care whether you were in class. So you almost felt compelled, obligated, you needed to be there. Otherwise, your parents were going to hear you weren't in class and in school. Whereas in university, the lecturer didn't care. They walked in, did their lecture, walked out. So you're like, okay, I don't have to be. And then I got into that social system way too easily. And I literally only passed my major. And I'll never, ever forget the conversation Janine had with me. She says, my guy, you decide. But I can tell you right now, I'm not resigning myself to be stuck with a loser. Right? And I sat and I thought, gee whiz, these people are not playing around. Dead serious, And I think that conversation completely changed what I believed my responsibility was as a student at university.
It's like wakey.
So that thing, and I think that's kind of, that principle stuck with me forever, right? On the personal side. On the professional side, the founder of GoTyme Bank is a guy by the name of Koen Jonker.
Yeah, I met him at the book launch.
And the role he's played in my life today professionally is so profound, it's not funny. And what I always say to him, I call him boss man, and I always say, boss man, if I can be 10% just to one other person of what you've been to me, I can die in peace. If I can just be 10%. And why I say that to him, I say, because I met him I just cold called him when I met him. I got his number from somewhere and I cold called him. And he listened to me. And he gave me a chance. And I said, you backed me when you didn't have to.
Why did you call him for a job?
Well, I was working at one of the bigger banks in the country on their graduate program, and he was very senior executive at that bank already.
Like a no-name bank.
A no-name, the blue one, the other blue one. And he was a senior executive there, and I was doing a piece of work, and I wasn't enjoying it. And I said, I need to do something else. And this person who I said this to gave me his number and said, I think you'll enjoy this.
Yeah.
And I called him, he answered one. He agreed to meet me too. He gave me a project in his business unit 3, and then later that year gave me a job in his team. But I'm saying he had no reason to back me.
But he did anyway. You know, and again, when I say, I don't want to say no, we have all these conversations, because I'm saying you just don't know what
when you are going to be that for that next person. You know, so, and like I said, when you ask me how do you, like, it's always about trying to pay this thing forward. I genuinely believe we live in the best country in the world. I genuinely think South Africa is the best country in the world. Do we have things that's going against us? Absolutely, but which country doesn't? Right? But all the other things on when you are by the means, South Africa is the best country in the world. So guess what the job is? Get as many people to have the means as possible. So that's the pay it forward. So that's most probably the two kind of big things.
Reflections. There's your moment of revenge. We're here for you. You can quiz us.
So I want to hear your answer on this that regret question, Peter. Is there anybody that you'd want to go back to? And what did you say? Apologize or do things over?
I don't actually see anybody that I wanted to apologize to, but I just regret that I never had enough time to spend with my grandfather on my father's side. My father was the only child, and then he had 10 kids.
Oh wow!
So because he was encouraged to don't mess around, have kids,
make the family big.
Don't be like me.
Yeah.
And I remember my grandfather was even way back then. He was. I always tell them that he was probably some of the first black people to wear long pants when they were not in fashion. Yeah. And I think he was wealthy from a livestock standpoint. Yeah. I just regret that I never had enough time to spend with him and get to know him better. That's really the one person that I, looking back, I miss that.
Yeah. So, and maybe to you, let's see. So this is also obviously being a dad. You're sitting here opposite your dad. I'm assuming your upbringing was completely different to your dad's because there was more resources in yours.
Yeah.
And they say don't judge a book by its cover. I'm going to judge a book by its cover. Okay. You seem to be an extremely good kid in inverted commas, context, good manners, humble, boom. But your dad had all these good things, traveling, successful things. Kind of why I asked this question. I've got an 11-year-old son, and the thing that makes me nervous as well is that he's going to be a brat because they live privileged lives.
Yeah.
Right? And what is the things that you found the most valuable in that to kind of keep yourself grounded, to make sure you continuously had fire in your belly? The fact that even though things came a lot easier to you than it did to your dad, what was the things that made sure grounded you in saying, I also have to work hard, I also have to do this, I also have to pay for it, I also have to create what next?
I think
proper revenge, huh?
I think
it's going too deep.
I think one of the differences that we have is that what are the consequences as to not working hard?
Yeah.
Because for my dad it was like it's staying in this situation that he doesn't want to stay in anymore. in terms of like, I want better for myself, I want this, I want that. And I think that comes from a more survival mentality in terms of like, if I don't pull my act together and do XYZ, I'm only gonna amount to like what? A truck driver or something like that. So I think what informed his drive and motivation was there was a lot more of survival in that, outside of like the ambition and all those things. Whereas for us, it's more like you're already at this level because of the hard work that they did, the life that your parents provided you with. And it's like, okay, we can maintain that, but it's like, I think there's more nuanced questions that get asked to you more.
Yeah.
It's more like, what do you want to do that brings you fulfillment?
Yeah.
Like, what do you want to do in terms that like will actually make you happy? Not what do you want to do that will put food on the table.
Yes.
Like, you have to be this, you have to be that, or I need to be this in order to get food on the table or whatever, or to live in this area. It's more or less on what do you want to be, but more on what will give you a sense of fulfillment.
Yeah.
Like, do you have a purpose? And I heard also online someone says like, you're not necessarily given a purpose. You have to go find that purpose that you have in life. Like, otherwise you're just going to be aimlessly walking around if you don't ever find your own purpose in life. And I would say something else that's to make sure, like, because like either way, you want your kids to be in a better situation than you were in growing up. So you put there, like, you live in the suburbs now and all that. And I think the key way to make sure that your kids don't become either entitled, spoiled, even though you will spoil them, but they don't take these things for granted, is to show them how far you've come or where you're coming from. So like with my parents, either go to Soweto, Popo, you just already see the different
100%.
situations, the standards of living, the this, the that. And the things that like are normal to you and you think are standards, it's a lot of things for them that these are seen as luxuries. And you just think that this is normal life.
Yeah, of course.
So it's also putting that into perspective and getting people to understand that, listen, you are privileged. It's not your fault because we wanted to build a good life for you. And that in and of itself is not bad. Everyone wants to live a good life where things are not hard for you. But you need to also understand that not everyone can live like this. Not everyone does live like this. And it's either due to whatever circumstances, be it the family you were born in, how you grew up, whatever circumstances. It's just giving people perspective and showing them that, especially, I think with kids, it's a lot easier because kids very much attach their lives are attached to their parents. So when they say, I'm going home to my house, you can easily say, no, you're going home to my house. You don't have a house. You live in my house. And when you start putting things into perspective for them like that, especially like when they get a job, especially like me and my sister, when we got jobs, parents were like, okay, you're going to start paying for something in the house. To teach you some level of responsibility, to give you that level of accountability, saying this is what you are accountable for. And that level of responsibility, either be it they say you must buy the groceries or you must pay for the lady that cleans the house or you must pay for this or whatever, that's your responsibility. And you must be happy that's your responsibility because you're in a position where you can have such a responsibility and contribute to the house in that sense. Because if your parents were to just turn around on you and say, okay, you pay for everything then, and then you see the mountain of things that they do and put it into perspective for you.
I'm there.
Then you're going to see how, and like, just to put it in layman's terms, how full of nonsense you are and how ungrateful you are because you actually don't see how much they actually do for you. Like the other day, I remember there was a problem at the house. My dad was telling, I knew this problem already. He just noticed it because I wasn't at home and everything. Then we spoke about it, and it also it basically led into it was about water.
Yeah.
Something was broken, water was running. Yeah. I basically knew how to fix it, and I did fix it. But my dad also noticed the problem, and then we just had a chat on it. It's like, because we need to sort these things out quickly because the water bill will just run up real quickly.
Yeah.
And something my dad said was like, if you had to pay for the bills in this house, it'll probably keep you up at night. And honestly, I said, you know what, Dad, that's fair. Yeah. That's so fair, because I don't know not even half the things that you have to pay for.
Yeah.
With it all. And it's it's literally what you said. It's having gratitude.
I've told my kids they have to move out no later than 22 years old. I've told them already, unless they become doctors, because they have to study a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And the joke I make with them, I said, I want you to leave so you can know how expensive it is to wipe your backside. Because right now you don't. And another one maybe, Peter, so I'm assuming you're a little bit older than me, so you'd have grown up.
Yeah.
As a grandfather.
Believe it or not.
Yeah. So you'd have grown up, call it, or you spent a large portion of your life in both South Africas. So I'm saying I'm assuming there's a decent amount of your life in apartheid South Africa, and there's obviously a decent amount of your life in democratic South Africa. What is your view on the country? What upsets you? What excites you? What do you wish was different, based on kind of having the lens of both?
Yeah, look, I mean, it's bittersweet, right? Yeah. In the sense that you, who I am, I've been probably about, true story, 60% of the world travel-wise. Yeah. And travel makes you, when you travel, you get wiser, you get a better perspective, you appreciate more your country, regardless of the ills and evils of it. So, I mean, if I look back, I mean, I went to school through apartheid times, which was obviously very hard for Black people than white people. And seeing through all that and how it's embedded, sometimes it's very hard to, ignore and let that down. And I kind of a very deliberate person in deep and understanding, and I keep on learning and getting better. Keep on reinventing myself. So when we do prep for interviewing, trying to understand who's Cheslyn, where did he come from, that type of a thing. The other day we interviewed Bruce, who runs Impact. It's a big packaging company. Yeah. So we understand the growing in agriculture sector. Yeah. And I was telling him one night and said, look, this is from AI platforms. Putting it in perspective, this agriculture business in this country, it's like a prisoner for white people. They'll never leave, even if Trump is inviting them for free. Because if you look at the farmers having corporations for nuts, for citrus fruits, for sugar cane, for all that, and you see all that. And I got investment in a bakery business, and I see, if you source flour from north of KZN or north of the Cape, Northern Cape or Limpopo, all those things are like farmers behind driving that. Yeah. It's chains on them. They're going nowhere. Yeah. So connect that to a rugby game, the Bulls playing the Lions, and you see the strength and the weakness of this country with a little bit of that history as well, where things are coming from. It's some days I feel so blessed that I've been dealt the cards or the hand that I have to make me strong and appreciate where I'm going from things being better. But I think I should have studied psychology, because sometimes I go to a public place and I see people who are not integrated yet. Yeah. And you come in and say, look, I go to cut my hair, it's like white people, Black people, car people in it, and get in, joke and say, look, I got only 30 minutes. This is Joburg. Time is money. We need to get going. Like, who's this guy? Like, white people are not used to a guy who's very assertive like this. And I'm sure you experienced that quite a bit. People who box you, for how you look, 100%. Not what you can do, 100%. Type of a thing. And I see that. And I think I see that as a blessing coming from the past, because that's the past where people get boxed into, places because of how they look or how they speak. And often people will say to me and say, look, where are you from? You don't sound like you're from here. Mainly on a little bit of a funny accent, but the way I'm imposing myself into the whole thing, because I'm kind of like to break the ice all the time. Mm-hmm. The other day I was being kind of running an interview with executive search out of Belgium, but they were doing it in a podcast off the clock, but the book. Yeah. And these two ladies were like a bit nervous and but introduced themselves in a very nervous and uptight way. And I said to them, when I introduced myself, I say, I'm Peter Mtlape. I haven't had a drink for 15 days. It broke the ice like, if you know Belgium, the one was in London, the other one was in Belgium. Belgium has got this culture of drinking till you drop. London, we all know. So if you've been to all those places. So it's kind of I think from there, they're like, we want to be your friend forever. Connecting with that. I don't know if I answered your question in a long way, but having lived and went to school, apartheid, Bantu education to today has been a blessing in seeing things and also living through the Mandela time, which I got a chance to meet him.
And then this off the clock things, what's this, a labor of love? Like what is the definition of success for off the clock?
So off the clock, success looks like this for me, and we often kind of debate this until the sun set. To create a platform, we're going to do a book after this. We've done over 80 CEO interviews already. After 100, we'll do a book just like the Diary of the CEO type. But then start doing more roundtable, more to the people, but driving the theme. It's all about work-life balance, spotlighting longevity on CEOs who tend to ignore it quite a bit, and take it to the business school, the report, the brief on, those who are doing it right, those who don't do it right. Because sometimes we've tend to ask 3 or 4 or 5 questions the same. The sleep question comes all the time. Mm-hmm. And some people will tell you they sleep 4 hours, whether they're in New York or in Tokyo. That's their body. And science support that. Some people, small percent of people can do that. Other people need 8-9 hours. They die and then they wake up the following day, type of a thing. So, but the success for us is about executive wellness and balance. That's if we see that being, having been CEOs for most of my life and seeing how corporates like you kind of want people to be slaves at the workplace. Not you, but the corporations. It's kind of a shame that you don't allow people to do that, because, it's like you leave at 4, people look at you and say the sunlight, the sunglasses boys.
You're working half day.
Yeah, you're working half day because
you're leaving at 4.
You come to work at 9. You put your shades. You kind of see the sun. You go to work. When the sun set, you put your shade, so you become a kind of a sunglass guys or ladies and things. People frown upon that type of behavior, and it doesn't have to be like that.
100%. Soccer team?
Liverpool. Oh gosh. Oh yeah, and
locally
Pirates.
Oh, so you're in good space at the moment, eh?
Yeah.
I think he needs to preface the story because he grew up.
Okay, let me tell the story because he's gonna exaggerate and tell things I don't know. Because I hear what he's saying. First team, and I still support this team to this day. Barcelona.
Yeah.
First and foremost team.
Yeah.
That is my team.
Yeah.
That will never change.
Yeah.
Then I was like, this was back in the time of like 2004, 5, 6,
Yeah.
there. When I started, well, let's say 2003 and 4, when I started supporting Barcelona. Cool. It's when Ronaldinho was still there.
Yeah.
Cool. Dad is a big Arsenal fan. I didn't have a Premier League team to support. So he was just like, in this house, we support Arsenal. Okay, Dad. I guess I was an Arsenal supporter because I didn't have a team to support. Then around, let's say 20, I feel like that's even late on its own. But like, yeah, let's say 2010, when the World Cup was here, everything, I got the FIFA 2010 game.
Yeah.
Started playing that, loved that game. I don't know which team I won that World Cup so many times with.
Yeah.
Then after that, actually, no, wait. Before, like, I had on my PlayStation 2, I had FIFA 07. Then I got FIFA 10. Then I got the World Cup game.
Yeah.
And then I actually started playing this game properly. Like the way you meant to play this game, like properly playing this game. So every FIFA after that, I think religiously, I asked my dad for that game every year. And he would buy it for me. I was like, oh, he's getting into the sport now. He's loving this. I think I played 13, 14, skipped probably 15 and 16, 17, 19, 20, 21, all the way up until now, you could say.
Oh, wow.
So through that experience, but like, let's say until like 2017, like me playing football, like, and because it's the actual players, the actual teams and all that, you learn the players, you learn how different teams are set up. You learn all these things. Then you start watching as well.
Yeah.
And then you start like, on the game, you're like, nah, but this guy's good. I know in the game, but like in real life, obviously it's different and everything. And I started to get into that culture of watching football and properly supporting. Okay. And this was around that time of when Brendan Rodgers was coaching Liverpool. Yeah. And it was around that time, towards the end of his tenure and all that. Then I'm like, you know what? This is a team, actually. Yeah. This is a strong team. And then I remember the one, because I was in varsity at the stage. The one weekend, I was like, I think I need to tell my dad I don't support Arsenal. Because I was like, I already did, like, I had years, like, you could even say years of me compiling a case of saying, this is the team I want to support, but I'm not going to go with to my dad with a presentation saying I'm not supporting Arsenal anymore. I was just like, you know what, Dad? I've actually finally chosen
my own team.
Yeah, and I made sure he was sitting down for this because he didn't react to me telling him I support Liverpool.
Your local team, Peter?
The saddest day.
Oh gosh, you see what I'm
saying? I felt like you see what I'm saying? At least my sister supports us.
I felt like he left me. I spent a lot of time when I was traveling buying him signature jerseys, indoctrinating this.
It wasn't even only Arsenal ones.
I bought him Barcelona. I bought him Arsenal, but to get him
Real Madrid as well,
to support the real teams that have a real culture.
He bought me the Brazil kids as well.
So
who's your local team then?
Kaiser Chiefs.
Oh wow! So it's funny. I support Man United because growing up, everybody older than me in my household supported Liverpool.
Oh,
and I wanted
You wanted some difference.
I wanted to create the friction, and especially since my son loves to play, doesn't like to watch.
He plays,
but it's so fascinating, like how the world's changing. Is that if you ask him now, who do you support, Joshua? He's going to say Manchester United because I support them. I was in Vietnam 2 weeks ago, and he says, "Dad, can you buy me new soccer jerseys?" Okay. But then he asks for Bayern Munich because he wants Jamal Musiala's name on the back, and he asks for Chelsea because he wants Cole Palmer's name on the back. Not once as I say Man United, Bruno Fernandes, but he's got a Haaland jersey. He's got Jude Bellingham. So
even Bellingham,
he's got no loyalty to a team. It's fascinating how the world is changing. They follow the personalities.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
That's,
I just let him go with the flow.